Imagine, you open your eyes 30,000 years ago. Beneath you, several warm animal hides. Beside the campfire lies so much meat that your family won't have to hunt for days. Around your neck, the teeth of a predator. And at the entrance to your dwelling, a man from another tribe is waiting. He came to offer a rare stone in exchange for your help. You have no money, no land on paper, no bank account. The tax office hasn't been invented yet either. Not a bad time. But everyone around knows you are rich.
And now, the strangest thing.
Some of the richest people of the Stone Age were found in a grave. Not great hunters, not chiefs. 2 children. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why their burial changed our understanding of wealth. Today, I'll tell you what made an ancient person rich, what counted as luxury, and why you still live by the same laws. Just, your shells have different names now. The first form of wealth in the Stone Age was food, not gold, not pelts, not weapons. Whoever had more food than he could eat was rich. Sounds simple, but it changed everything. A rich hunter fed his family for 3 days after one hunt. A poor one went hunting every day. Sometimes came back empty-handed. And it was food that gave the first right to status. Whoever brought back a mammoth sat closer to the fire that evening. A table by the fire had to be earned. Whoever brought nothing slept at the edge, where it was colder. The first VIP lounge worked by the same principle. Just no velvet ropes, only fire. The main thing on you was animal skins. And it wasn't clothing, it was a resume. A simple deer hide, an ordinary person. A wolf pelt, a hunter. A bear hide, the best hunter of the tribe. A saber-tooth pelt, you are a good among men. To get such a pelt, you had to kill the beast, 1-on-1, without firearms. Money tried. Not every man came back. That's why a predator's pelt wasn't a thing. It was a certificate that you survived where others died. One look at a person and you knew his whole biography. LinkedIn was not required. A bear on your shoulders spoke louder. Today, for the same purpose, a 4-page resume. In the Stone Age, everything was visible at once. Besides food and pelts, there were treasures. But not gold and not diamonds. Amber, shea shells, predator teeth. Amber was like an iPhone. They brought it from the Baltic shea, sometimes over thousands of kilometers. Finding amber in a burial in the Alps meant a very rich man. Cave bear or lion teeth were worn as pendants. The bigger the tooth, the higher the status. It was the first Rolex, only alive. And the strongest of all, cowrie shells. These tiny shells are found everywhere, from Africa to Siberia. They became the first world currency, long before money existed. Whoever had lots of cowries could trade them for anything. The farther from the saya, the more expensive the shell. Economics was already working. Economists weren't invented yet. The first wallet ran on shells. No app, no PIN code, just the risk of getting robbed. Next, I'll tell you how shells traveled thousands of kilometers without cars or ships. Ancient humans did not seat in one place, and they did not trade only with neighbors. They exchanged objects across thousands of kilometers. Baltic amber is found in Italy. Caucasian obsidian is found in Syria. Atlantic shells are found in Central Europe. Nobody traveled that far. A kind of exchange was working. One tribe traded with the next, that tribe with the following one. And so, an object passed through hundreds of hands. The first international delivery. Arrival time, someday. A distance we fly today in an hour. Back then took centuries. And here's what matters. Whoever had access to this kind was Rick. A tribe at the crossroads of trade routes always lived better than the rest. It was the first logistics, without trucks, without aviation, only on foot and on agreements. But all of this was material things. The real wealth in the Stone Age was something else. Connections. If you have many relatives in your tribe, you are rich. If the neighboring tribe considers you a friend, you are very rich. If 3 tribes are ready to come help, you are a king. Friends were not counted in leaks. They were counted before a fight. Wealth was not measured by what you own, but by how many people will come when trouble finds you. Marriages between tribes were not about love. It was a contract, a union of 2 families, a guarantee of peace. A modern wealthy man has $100 million and 3 real friends. An ancient wealthy man had 100 alleys and $0. Which one was actually Rishit? The one with more people will survive the winter. The one with more money may end up alone. Another powerful form of wealth was weapons. But not just any weapon. A good spearhead required material, time, and a person who actually knew how to make it. One mistake and several hours of work turned into sharp garbage. Especially valuable were materials that weren't nearby. Obsidian came only from specific volcanic regions. If such an axe was found, far from the stone's source, it meant it passed through trade, travel, and many hands. It was not just a tool, it was geography you could hold in your hand. But here's what's strange. In some burials, they find weapons so fine and beautifully made that using them in a real hunt would have been a waste. Too fragile, too rare, too beautiful. Maybe its main purpose was not to kill an animal, but to kill any doubt about its owner's status. A modern man buys a Ferrari to seat in traffic. An ancient man wore a decorated spare to stand by the campfire. Progress exists. The logic is the same. Different tools. The same conversation with everyone around. Look what I can afford. But weapons you can carry. Real wealth began where a person could control a whole place. What kind of dwelling was the most expensive 30,000 years ago? The biggest one? The most beautiful one? No, the one in which you survive the winter. In the Stone Age, a good home meant 3 things: water is nearby, the wind doesn't blow out the fire, and the predator is seen before he sees you. It's almost a real estate listing already. Water nearby, good view, neighbors only sometimes try to eat you. In Ukraine, they discovered ancient dwellings made from mammoth bones. The first apartment complex. The doorman got eaten first. Large bones formed the frame. Hide sheets protected from the wind. Inside, there was room for people, fire, tools, and supplies. Such a dwelling didn't necessarily belong to one wealthy person, but it showed the wealth of the whole group. To build it, you needed materials, knowledge, joint labor, and people who won't disappear after the first cold evening. However, the best wealth might not have been the dwelling itself, but the place it stood on, closer to water, farther from the wind, next to the prey, with a good view. A modern person pays for a view from the window. The ancient one chose a view that allowed him to spot danger. But now, it gets even stranger. Sometimes people spent weeks on an object that gave neither food, nor warmth, nor protection. Why?
Imagine, winter is close. You need to find food, repair the dwelling, prepare the hides. And someone sits down and for several days carves a tiny figurine. It doesn't warm you. It doesn't cut meat. It doesn't protect you from a predator. But the person keeps working. Why? One of the oldest known figurines is the Venus of Hohlfels. 40,000 years old, older than any book, older than any language, older than the idea that time is money. She is carved from mammoth ivory. We don't know to whom she belonged. We don't know if she was sold. And we don't even know exactly why she was made. But we know the main thing. Someone could spend a huge amount of time on a thing that did not help him survive right now. And time in the Stone Age was expensive. While you carve a figurine, you are not hunting, not gathering food, not repairing the dwelling, which means either you have a surplus or other people are ready to support you. Or this thing is so important that for its sake, everything else can wait. Beads, pendants, carved bracelets also required hours of work. They had no logo, but everyone around knew perfectly well how much time they cost. The first designer item, brand unknown, price unpleasant. That was the real price. Beauty showed not only taste, it showed that you have the rarest resource of all. Free time, but in the ancient world, it wasn't enough just to accumulate beautiful things. To become influential, sometimes, you had to get rid of them. Here's a strange thing that breaks the brain. The wealthiest person in the tribe was not the greediest. He was the most generous. Anthropologists studied modern tribes living like they did thousands of years ago, and they found one rule everywhere. The leader is the one who gives the most. Caught a big deer? Give it away. Leave the least for yourself. Found a rare stone? Give it to the eldest's wife. The more you give, the higher your status,
because it shows you have so much that you don't mind parting with it. And everyone you've given something to, will owe you. This is not charity. This is investment. The ancient loyalty program. Points were earned in deer. The modern millionaire saves. The ancient millionaire gave a why. The paradox. The ancient one was freer. He wasn't afraid to lose what he had because he gave it a why by his own choice. And here's what's interesting. The Native Americans had a custom called potlatch. Once a year, the chief threw a feast where he gave a why everything he had accumulated. Sometimes he even burned part of his property in front of everyone. The more he destroyed, the higher his status. Today, this seems insane. Back then, it was the highest expression of wealth. Not every ancient tribe had a chief, strict positions, and a social pyramid. Different groups lived differently. But some people clearly had more influence than others. Age gave experience. Knowledge gave influence. Hunting success brought respect. And relatives and allies gave protection. Status had to be proven through actions. At least, that's what it seemed. But then, archaeologists found a grave that broke this simple picture. Inside were not great hunters, not elders, not chiefs who had lived a long life. Inside were two children. They had not yet killed a mammoth, had not built a trade network, had not become leaders. But they were buried with wealth that many adults never received. Does this mean status could already be gained at birth? Did ancient aristocracy exist before chiefs, kings, and pyramids? The answer is hidden in them 1,000 beats. That's exactly what they found at the Sungir burial. In Russia, they found a burial 28,000 years old. Scientists called it Sungir. Two children, around 2 and 13 years old. And here's what was inside the grave with them. 2,000 baits made from mammoth ivory. Each bait was handmade. One bait about 1 hour of work. That means for each child about 5,000 hours of a craftsman's labor. 2 years of daily work on 2 children. Only on decorations. What else did they have? Bracelets. Spares made from straightened mammoth ivory, a technology that could not be replicated for thousands of years. These children were the wealthy princes of their time. Their family had the resources for 2 years of labor just for decorations. These were not hunters and gatherers sitting in hides by a fire. This was the elite of the Stone Age. And they lived long before the first pyramid in Egypt was even built. But if you think these children got everything simply because they were born into the right family, wait. There's another strange thing ahead. About what they passed down to children that you can't get, even from a modern billionaire. An interesting question. How was wealth passed down? No money, no banks, no wills, but something was passed on. The first thing they passed down was a place in the hierarchy. The chief's son had a better chance of becoming chief. Not automatically, you still had to prove it, but the chances were higher. The first aristocracy, just without castles. Second, knowledge. A father who hunted taught his son where the animal lives, where the traps are, how to read trails. A mother passed to her daughter knowledge of herbs, where to gather berries, when to plant. This was more valuable than any necklace. Third, connections. If your father had friends in 3 tribes, you inherited those relationships. People trusted you because they trusted him. You had done nothing yet, but the right people already knew your father. Today, this is called networking by inheritance. And fourth, material things. The best spare, the warmest necklace, the family amulet. These were not just objects, they were connections to the ancestors. Sometimes, an amulet was kept for 7 generations. This was the first family heirloom. But wealth in the Stone Age had its price, and it was higher than today. If you are rich, you have something worth taking. In the modern world, a bank guards your money. Ancient people had no banks, no alarm system either, just neighbors. Everything you owned was right next to you, and if the neighboring tribe found out, they came at night. A wealthy hunter died in clashes more often. A wealthy family lost children in raids more often. That's why many deliberately rejected the surplus. Better to be average in the tribe and sleep in peace than rich and wake up to find someone already inside your hut. This was the first luxury tax in history.
Only you didn't pay it to the government. You paid it to Fat.
But there was one type of wealth that could not be stolen. Not even at night, not even with weapons. And it was the women of the Stone Age who held it. About that, right now. We've talked a lot about men, but women in the Stone Age were also rich or poor, and their wealth was measured differently. First, for decorations. The more shells, beads, and amulets on here, the higher the status. Second, children. A woman with 5 healthy children was wealthier than one with a single child. Children were the future of the tribe, a guarantee that the lineage would not vanish. Third, knowledge. Which herbs hail? Which ones are poisonous? When to gather berries? Where to find water? Pick the wrong berry once, and you won't need reviews anymore. A woman who was a healer had a status equal to the chief. The modern world measures wealth in money. The ancient world measured wealth by what you cannot buy. Knowledge, children, experience. That's why an elderly woman in the tribe was one of the most respected figures. Not the old lady, the keeper of knowledge. And now, the strangest thing in this entire story, the thing I've been silent about for the whole video. I'll tell you now. And here's what nobody says. Ancient wealth was not gold and not pelts. It was status. And status in the Stone Age worked exactly the same way as today. Whoever could show that he had more won. A saber-tooth pelt in the Stone Age equals a $100,000 watch today. Cowrie shells equal a designer handbag. Predator teeth on your neck equal a fancy car. We think the modern world invented status symbols. No, we simply inherited them. The brain of an ancient human and your brain work the same way. When you see an expensive car or beautiful watch, inside you, the same signal fires, as in your ancestor who saw a bear hide. This person is spécial. He achieved something. And you yourself, when you want to buy something expensive, are doing the same thing as your ancestor who chased a rare shell. This is not materialism. This is evolution. If you lived 30,000 years ago, you would have been either rich or poor. Not by how much money you have, but by three things: how much food you have, what things are on you, and how many people will come when things go wrong. Money was invented only 2,700 years ago. Before that, for hundreds of thousands of years, wealth was measured completely differently. And here's the finale. When you buy something expensive, you are driven by the same desire as your ancestor 30,000 years ago who traded food for rare shells. When you seek connections and networking, you do the same thing as your ancestor who built alliances between tribes. When you help friends for free, you do the same thing as the chief who gave away his hunt. Wealth has not changed, just the tools became different. Inside you is the same ancient human by the fire who looks at the shells and thinks, I want those too. Just now, the shells are called iPhone. And the next time you want something expensive, remember, it's not weakness. It's not an empty desire. It's 1,000,000 years of evolution living inside you. Your ancient ancestor is searching for a bear hide. You are searching for the same thing. Just the hide is different now. What matters more, 100 million and 3 friends, or $0 and 100 alleys? Reach your answer. Subscribe. Every week, stories like this about how ancient instincts live inside us right now.